Hello, collective, and welcome back to Soul Measure. I've been not mentioning the name of the channel in my messages and my videos, and it's, I guess it's a good time to start, right? So it's wild when you're an empath and a narcissist catches wind of it, right? So an empath, what is an empath? Someone who is highly attuned to the emotions of others and can absorb them as if they were their own, right? I mean, that pretty much says it all right there. So that's why, that's where a lot of people's anxiety, well, a lot of our anxiety comes from being in crowds, because we're absorbing other people's emotions. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, they know exactly what they're doing with the gang stalking, trying to induce paranoia on you, and using fear and scarcity tactics, and having people basically all in your business and attacking you from all different directions. These are all spiritual attacks. And yeah, definitely spiritual jail worthy and real life jail worthy, because it's really cruel and unusual punishment. It's because usually empathic people who haven't mastered their skills and emotions, right, their gifts and emotions, they're usually more introverted, because it's like that's how they recharge. We recharge by ourselves, like in our own energy. It's nothing against anybody. It's just that being around other people and taking on, it's kind of like we're taking on other people's problems. Excuse me for a second. Making sure that's off. Don't smell any gas, but okay. So it's like that's why they're so strong on the exposing people. But it's like, a term I learned from someone recently is exposure therapy, and that's what from my experience, I took it and transmuted it into that exposure therapy. It was not easy, because it's just like there was so many times I just like, I wanted to just like blow up. I wanted to, well, I can't not be there, but it's like I learned how to get out of my own head and out of my own I learned how to better like hone my gift, hone that ability. So it's just like still, being empathic, or being an empath without losing empathy, not completely shutting that part of me out. Because usually if we don't like something that hurts us and we have the ability to like get rid of it ourselves, if it's within us, then that's what we do. But empathy is not something you want to lose, not as a human being, definitely, because it's like it's not a good place to be. Because that means you have no understanding of what somebody else might be going through, and that would be something along the lines of a mental illness, which is what narcissism is. It's a straight mental illness. Signs of being an empath: overwhelmed in crowded places. I'm just reading off the computer here. Feeling drained or exhausted after being around others. You feel hurt when others are arguing, even if you weren't involved. That part, right? You feel a strong connection to nature. You have a strong intuition. You feel like you don't fit in or are misunderstood. The misunderstood part I get. The fitting in part I never really cared, honestly. You may feel physical symptoms like headache or migraine, which I don't think it ever got that bad for me. It's just more like irritation, which, headaches and migraines are irritations, but it's just like more of you kind of go like into some kind of escapist mentality. Like I got good at just escaping certain situations that involved a lot of people, right? Like escaping crowds, escaping people I really didn't like. I did not like their energy, because the whole thing about feeling another person's energy is just like, even if it's not like directly face to face, you feel that it's like, they're definitely focused. You can feel a person focusing on you. You can feel their intentions. It's like an animalistic type thing, right? Just like when you have when you have like a pet or something like that, or your baby, your babies know when you don't want to be bothered, you're sad, and they might fuss at you a little bit, you know, because just like, it's kind of like, hey, open up, you know, just like tell me what's wrong, or what, you know, let me comfort you, type thing. So a narcissist will try to say it's a mental illness, right? They'll try to say it's a medical condition or a disorder, right? Which it just isn't. It's just it's said that, you know, we have more neurons, you know, neurodivergence, which it allows us to mirror other people's emotions and understand. It gives us a deeper sense of understanding as to that person's emotions and their situation and everything. So it's like, you cannot agree with somebody's mindset and how they handle things and their emotions and how they feel. You can totally disagree, but you know, me personally, I still have an understanding of, you know, good or bad, I have an understanding, even if I'm just like, you know, that's just dead ass wrong, you know. It's just like, it just, if I'm totally biased against it, you know, I'll still be like, yeah, but I understand, but no, you know. And, you know, let it be that, agree to disagree. Let me see what else. I'm trying to look for things that I don't know or may not particularly understand. So one of those things I like to do, I guess. Let's see. So, okay. Yeah, with the gang stalking and everything, it definitely is an attack on your nervous system, right? It's not a direct physical attack, or if you do get physically attacked, it does attack your nervous system. In that, you know, who's expecting to really just be physically attacked out of nowhere, you know, or, you know, or they, you know, just the threat of, you know, there could be a physical attack coming from anywhere, could, you know, put anyone on edge, I guess. You know, that's why self-defense is also like very, 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 very important. When you're, especially as an empath, because it gets you used to the crowds, it gets you used to the energies, especially since martial arts and everything like that, it is a competitive field, and like there are going to be people that want to compete with you, and you know, you have to figure out what, if you want to be competitive back, or if you want to be like, you know, skate, I'm just here to learn, right? Just learn how to defend myself, this, that, and the third. And it is a competition arena. You're going to have to spar and all that kind of stuff, and you know, you're going to lose, and you're going to be put in situations where it will push your anxiety to the test, right? And that's one of the reasons I got in, because I was like, growing up, I was painfully shy. Like, I wouldn't be able to like have a conversation with anybody. I just like, let me go to my car and go be by myself. Like that's how I've always been, or go somewhere by myself, a park, anywhere, a library, you know. And I advise, if your kid is a empathic, libraries, because it's quiet, you know, nobody, they might focus on you, but they, you know, there's nothing really you can do without drawing attention to yourself, you know, that is outside of, you know, grabbing a book and reading. So, and then it's a better way to just better yourself, improve your vocabulary, improve your knowledge. A whole lot can come from reading, right? Especially if you have a troubled home. So I spent my time in libraries or in front of some kind of book. I didn't really try to socialize or find friends too much, because I'm like, well, if my family's like this, it's like, what do I want to do with, you know, people outside of here? And then, you know, into adulthood, I found out, yeah, no. You know, not saying that, you know, the world's full of bad people or anything like that. It's just like, what's for me isn't going to miss me, right? So that's how I've always lived my life. I've never, like, sought out. But anyways, the gang stalking, the noise campaigns, right? Like riding by with loud music. I grew up where there was drive-bys, break-ins, SWAT team down the street, houses raided, helicopters over the house, bushes, and, you know, I had a dad who was a legit tormentor, and a grandmother who I love very dearly. You know, I'm just like delving more into my, you know, my past, right? And, you know, he would be on drugs, high on drugs, got real sheepish after the fact, right? And he was always abusive towards women and sheepish towards men. He was a true coward. And I still feel like dude faked his death. I don't know if that was even my dad, right? But, you know, the lady he called his mom, which I'm like, I almost have no doubt that was his mom, unfortunately. He would do things like knock on the windows like late at night when everybody was sleeping and try to wake her up so he can get in the house after he got his high. you know, after she locked the door for security reasons, you know, because, I mean, where we were living. And he would have her so on edge that she just got sick. And I'm like, why don't you, you know, this man is in his 40s and 50s. Like, you know, it's like, he should be, there's no reason that he should be here and doing this to you. I'm not respecting your boundaries, basically. And, but, you know, with of course, a lesser vocabulary, because I didn't know these words at the time, you know. And, you know, like, fast forward, you know, she loved her family dearly, and, you know, those were the people who basically sent her to an early grave, because she would have still probably been alive today. That was a strong woman. That was a strong woman that I looked up to and admired very much. And it would suck if it was her behind any of this, but I just at this point don't know, because it's like, after she passed, after they had her funeral, her wake and all that stuff, I basically disappeared, because there was nothing for me to go back to. You know, I took my son and I got as far as I could with him, and, you know, sent him to his dad, and then I had to go on my own journey, you know, and the whole time in the process, I'm being gang stalked with my child, being caught into job loss and everything like that, right? So the day we had her funeral, I got verbally but indirectly attacked by one of my aunts. The day she passed, or the early morning she passed, my dad leaves a message on the machine. It's like, oh, you turned your phone on. I didn't even know I had the phone on silent. I was just tired. And, you know, your phone's on silent. Your grandmother just passed. You know, that's real effing smart. And I told you to make left a voice message like that on the day she passed, because he told me the night before, whenever, that to make a beeline for the house, because the rest of the family was going to be trying to get the stuff from her house. And that's the kind of family I come from. Sharkish, right? Real predatory. And if that's how they always were, I don't know. But, you know, it was definitely a, you know, who's next to die type family. Like, you wouldn't see them until somebody was, you know, about to go. It's like they can smell it from miles away. You don't even have to say anything. You know, they'll be there. Like, oh yeah, like they're expected to live until this time, right? Family full of nurses on both sides. We had quite a few nurses on both sides. The women, the men were like military or law officials or of some sort, or whatever else. And on my dad's side, they were all very unhealthy. On my mom's side, I'm not even sure. They have a wide array of occupation, tow truck driver and all that stuff. You know, and some prestigious roles, teachers, doctors, things like that. You know, so we had people all over the place, honestly. And, you know, now that I think about it, on both sides, it's just like, it's like, do they even know that I'm empathic looking at some of the stuff that went down? It's just like, do they just not care? Or is this just on purpose? Is this exposure therapy of some sort? I don't know. But, you know, there was a lot going on, and I reflect back on, it was just like, this was torment, you know, from both sides. It's just like, I couldn't catch a break to save anything. And, you know, I'm a person of accountability, you know, I'll like admit when I own up, but it's like, I feel like, you know, most of my family, I feel like it'd be better if I just didn't, you know, we never crossed paths. Like, you know, how that would have been possible, I don't know. But it was, you know, like my dad, if that was even my father, right? I feel like it'll be better if I just didn't know who it was, which I think might be the case, because it's all pretty crappy coming, whatever comes from them. And it was just constant conflict, and all I ever wanted was peace. And like, at some points, you know, I was willing to do do whatever to get my, you know, just get peace, like peace and quiet. That's all I wanted. Like, and to not be attacked for once, to not have to deal with somebody else's BS, to, I don't know, have security, comfort, and peace. That's all I ever really wanted. And it's something I could, you know, it wasn't until I was like straight homeless, and even then I couldn't get it, because I still had someone in the streets running behind me in the streets, talking about how sorry they feel for me, but really didn't do anything for me. And come to find out, there were people, I had people and family members in the insurance company, the medical field, like every field you imaginable, that can get you effed up. They were in it. So, and I wasn't anything like any of them. And that's the wild part. I was just like, so I'm like this, I don't feel like it could have been my family, because it's just like being under constant attack like that. This can't be love. At some point there's got to be some peace. But then they were just a bunch of miserable, gossiping ass people. So I was like, yeah, I don't belong here, so gotta go. Struck out on my own. I made my mistakes and everything like that. And sorry, I'm stuffy. I don't really have any regrets, man. It's just, and that's hard to say when you wish things could have went differently. Like, you think about how differently your life would have been had you not ran into all this stuff. You'd probably still be like the same person, but without, not the same person. You probably would be more open, less guarded. You probably be like, the kids you were, like very giving, and like the whole thing about discernment is like we always had it. So they were also mad because they're also mad because we aren't easy to fool. It's just like we let people slide and they think they can ice skate, and sometimes we let them ice skate for a bit until we put some fire to the ice, right? Set fire to the rain, and then they get more mad. So it's like a lose-lose. Like, you let them skate, they're mad, because they know I see you. And I know at some point you're going to wake up and realize that what I'm doing is not right, and you're going to eventually surpass all of us. And, it depends on what your idea of success is. Because if you're not happy, then you're not successful. It doesn't matter what you have. Like, it doesn't matter how much power you think you have. You don't have any real power if you're not successful. You can have all the material in the world, and if you're not happy, then there's no point in it all. It's kind of like, what did I even do it for? It's kind of like contact sports, when you get the only thing worth it is that you can secure your family, which, for some it's enough. But I like to know and remember what I was fighting for and why I have this injury, this lifelong injury to where I can't. But, sometimes it's just, that's just all that matters, is that, secure that. And that's fair enough. But these people, they are willing to ruin anybody in their way for a illusion, an appearance, an image. They like to portray that, oh, if you have all this nonsense, this stuff that you don't need, you're happy. It's just like, but you're sitting at the dinner table, like, literally cursing someone after you finish saying grace, if you said grace at all, over your food. You're trying to poison somebody's plate who is sitting at your table. You can't be fucking happy. So yeah, the attacks, man. Let me look something up. Okay. The challenges. Okay, it does say. Okay, so the traits. Empaths are compassionate, kind, naturally inclined to help others. That would be me. Because I know earlier in my adulthood, from my childhood until my late. Well, I still do it now. Just naturally inclined to help people, good listeners, and curious about other people's experience. I like to ask, "What's your story?" When I get a chance or when I see fit. Challenges. Empaths may have difficulty setting boundaries and may deeply be affected by the feelings of, relationships between narcissists and empaths can be complicated and one-sided. The narcissist may use an empath's insecurities against them to make them feel better about themselves. It says if you suspect you may be in a relationship with a narcissist or are a narcissist yourself, you can seek professional help such as therapy. So I tend to not listen to people who salivate over the failure and downfall of other people. It's nice to know that, yeah, cycles are over and everything like that. I don't want to hear about anybody suffering, because I might not. I'm at the very worst, I just stop giving a fuck about the person, which is basically a death sentence, in a spiritual sense. You put a death to it. You put a death to the person, and you're getting to you, or your feelings, your emotions having access to you energetically. And eventually in the physical, as above so below, it goes away. The problem with the empathic narcissistic dynamic is empaths want to play cat and save a hoe, right? They want to heal the narcissist because they see the pain and the trauma, but there's always that but, right? However, don't say they don't want to be saved, right? Don't try to heal somebody who keeps basically hitting themselves. That's all they're doing. They're just hitting, like that cartoon. It's like, stop hitting yourself, whatever that situation. Stop hitting yourself. And they insist on doing it. They think they're hitting you, and they're hitting themselves. It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robot. You're just showing them a mirror. They're throwing punches at you, swinging for the fences, and they're hitting themselves. Because it's just like, you don't find too many people as true as an empath. There's not. Those are people who are really going to be there for you, after you come home from a battle or whatever, like life outside of home is already hard. You don't need to make home a battle zone. But that's what a narcissist does, is they turn everything into a damn competition and everything into a battle zone, a battlefield. It's just like, who needs that all the time? That shortens your life. It's just like, why would you want, like, don't you want, like, and then they'll get somewhere and talk and preach about everlasting life, and then do things that shorten their life. So it's kind of like, it's very oxymoronic. Let's see. So, and I try to figure out, it's kind of like, do they need a different focal point? Do they need something like what would create something like that? Like, is it a bunch of crushed dreams? I know it's like other narcissists that create narcissists, right? And a bunch of broken dreams, and like maybe just like life just messed them up just carved them up real bad, right? And like the still wanting to sympathize with these people, these monsters, is another thing that can be considered a weakness, but it can also be a strength. Depends on how you play your cards, right? Because I wouldn't let them continue on my path with me, that's for sure. Like, they couldn't do that. I just like, farewell. They're very fair weather people. They want to be where the shine is, and make it look like they turned the shit into shinola when they were actually just shit, and shitty to you and really other people around them for putting on that facade like that. While trying to tear somebody who is like perfectly solid down in their background until they get exposed, and then it's a problem now. It's like, now they have a heart, basically. They're not on a smear campaign. Oh shit, the smear campaign is another one, right? Because that's where the insecurities come in. And like, insecurities come from more not knowing yourself, right? So when you get to spend a lot of time by yourself, because it's like, it's a thing, like, you can spend a lot of time by yourself and still be tormented. And that's what they are. They're tormented souls by themselves. They want to be left alone with the thoughts they have and the dirty shit they've done to people. Like, who wants to be left alone with that? And like, they know that judgment is real, but they still did it in spite of. And yeah, they don't want to sit alone by themselves and like figure out what's wrong with them. And everybody has something wrong with them at every partner in their life. It's like, it's a whole healing journey. It's a whole process. You just heal, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but for some reason they see it as a weakness. They see vulnerability as a weakness. They see anything involving emotions, really. Having a freaking heart is like a weakness. And I don't, it's weird. It is, it's very, very, it sounds like hell, honestly. Like, I used to, like, be so tormented to a point where I wanted to not feel shit either. Like, I was like, how can I get like that? How can I be artist? But I couldn't fucking do it. Right? I couldn't harbor hate in my heart, because it's just like, it takes more energy than loving, just like, and you can, like, if you can't love anybody else, just go love yourself, it's just like, yeah, just go love yourself. Just go work on that. Like, because it's like, you can't love anybody until you love yourself, right? That's what they say. Let's see what else. Smear campaigns. What else? Covert narcissist. And then it's just kind of like, the hardest thing to beat in a narcissist is not becoming a narcissist yourself, because you have, like, the thing is, like, you have to dip into that darkness, which is, that a lot of that is what taught me my shadow work, is what taught me to face myself. Because a narcissist is simply somebody who's running from themselves constantly. They're on a hamster wheel. It's like, you can't escape yourself. Bottom line, yeah, you just finished like tormenting somebody the night before you go to church the next morning, and or whatever. You go to bed, you kiss, the spouse or whatever, go out, put on a happy front facade, and after you just finished doing that, and your spouse has no idea. Just like, you run, and you have to run from yourself with the fact that eventually they will find out, right? Because narcissists have an inflated sense of importance. They're like, and they love to do the what is the name of that term? What's that term? Jeez, it's like where they create scenarios where someone needs saving. What is that? Savior complex or something like that. Let me see. And the survivor's envy on those people is let me see. Someone feels responsible for helping others. Now that will be the empath. Okay. What's that? Okay. Okay, it's not going to tell me. I need to find a better way to word that. Night Savior complex. They also call it the night complex. But the thing is like an empath is aware of the damage you're going to take trying to save somebody else most of the time. Well, not a narcissist, that's why a whole, there's some empaths have been completely like destroyed by narcissists because they didn't realize, they weren't aware of the damage, the depth of the damage, or weren't prepared to take that on, is equipped to take on the damage of a narcissist to try to save them, because they don't want to fucking be saved. It's like a drowning victim. They're drowning. You can see that they're drowning, and some people, you gotta knock them out to save them, to like get them to safety. Otherwise, they'll be drowning you too, right? And let's see. I think it is Savior's complex. So it's like a narcissist wants to be a knight in shining armor, but they fail to realize that a knight in shining armor is someone who has not had their metal tested. I'm trying to find it. I can't find it right now. I know it's gonna come up. I'm probably on the money though. But hey, and the ironic thing is that they think that they're saving you from yourself when the opposite is needed. Is like they need to be saved from themselves, because it's just like when you're sitting back, like we're sitting back in our own, peaceful energy or whatever, we're just chilling, and like willing to help people. But some of us do need saving for ourselves, because we can't go overboard, right, with the helping people to the point that we don't have a damn thing, right? And like that's part of why I'm in some of the situations, or I've been in some of the situations I've been in. You know, it's like it's almost self-destructive, right? Um, and and then when they start to see you pull yourself out of stuff like this, they won't stop you while you're being self-destructive. But when you start to pull yourself out, it's like they want you to experience survivor's guilt, imposter syndrome, and stuff, especially when you have more gifts than just being an empath. Like you're a messenger, you're a healer, you're this, you're that. Like they want you to be heavy on the imposter syndrome and heavy on the survivor's guilt. Like, and survivor's jealousy is it's a real thing, people. It's a real thing. I don't know. Yeah. And let's see. Now, let me see. I'm trying to. Oh yeah, the love bombing. That's one thing. The praises, they can never have a bad word to say about you, and they can never speak enough good about you. You can never do any wrong until you don't do or react how you want them to, how they want you to, right? Very, and they'll do it all behind the scenes, or some of them are really overt with it. They just don't care until it's like the bully situation. It's just like until somebody steps in regulates, or you step in and regulate for yourself, which is actually the best way to get them to basically fuck off. They're actually they never quite grow past a certain age, right? They never quite grow past being a high schooler, because a lot of these people, like, high school was the highlight of their lives. It's just like it was when they were living with their parents, they had no bills, right? And they had all this material stuff that they have now, and they got supposedly on their own, but really they got it through shitting on other people and like stepping on people's necks and keeping it there, and manipulating their way to the top, which the empaths are not really ready to do, and which is why we sleep very good at night. I sleep very good at night because I know I'm not out here fucking people over. I'm just like on the grind. I'm just out here just like getting money, or trying to anyway, and starting on my own business. I'm not manipulating anybody. This is what I have to offer. Like if you're if you like want you want me to work with you, work for you, whichever, then that's what it is. Now I'm trying to stay on the freelance thing and not really go back into a full-time situation, maybe a part-time and freelance, but yeah, that whole situation for me it has to be worth it. I'll say that much. Yeah, just getting it out the mud like I always have. I was like 8 years old looking for a job, looking to cut somebody's lawn, paint somebody's house, fences, whatever. I was always out, on the lookout. Like really, when I was 8, looking for jobs like that, I was trying to get out of the house. It's like I had no idea about actual responsibility and like what it really took to adult, but I was willing to do that, right? And no matter what the situation was. So now here I am, trying to adult. I guess I'm doing it okay. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm further than where I was. I've learned a lot through the systems of this country, and how to navigate them through my struggles. So I can't be too mad, because a lot of people, they haven't been through the struggles, so they wouldn't know if they hit like even halfway to rock bottom, right? Because I've been at rock bottom, right? Not a fun place to be. Not a fun place to be. But actually, it was probably I was relaxed in those times, right? Even despite because my connection with the Most High, that's the one thing that never really left. I might have strayed a little bit went through some avenues and whatnot, but never left. Never was trying to leave. I just kind of got distorted for a little bit there. And yeah, man. And now I'm just working on, finally finding that place I really want to call home. And, really just set some roots and settle down there and everything like that. Let me see. And the weird thing is, like, they do all this. They come up against you. They try to make you feel like they try to deplete your self-worth to the point that you're like a shell of a... They try to kill your inner child. Because a lot of narcissists are molesters, pedos, right? And they play these childish games with you because they're used to dealing with kids like this. You pay attention to the correlation, you'll see like a grown person playing childish ass games with a little, with a grown ass person, like a bunch of yelling and screaming in public and like, what is it, body shaming and, like we've all been there, but it's like to do it as a constant attack. Or the mean girl shit, or like, oh, we don't want to deal with this person, blah blah, and try to make them care. Like that's the thing too. Is just like if you don't care, that just shuts a lot of things down. If you just simply, genuinely don't care, like you're not going home, like thinking about it, losing sleep about it. It's kind of like you're moving on. That shuts a lot of it. That infuriates these people. I'm sorry, I got memories. They get pissed when they're just sitting there blah 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 and attacking you, and like you're just like, okay, sure, you're not talking about yourself, like, because it sounds like it would be more offensive to you than it would to me, by way of being an ignoramus, maybe being very ignorant to what it is that you're attacking, and being unhealed as well, right? And like, we're all ignorant. Ignorant is not a bad thing. It's just a lack of knowing. It's willful ignorance. That is it's a killer and a tormentor, because it's just like you're trying to stay ignorant. You're trying not to know. You're trying not to see things a different way, a different perspective. Trying not to go, trying not to see things from somebody else's point of view, because there's no one point of view. There's no one way of doing things or saying things or seeing things. It's just a matter of, what spectrum is it on, right? What's the trajectory of why you're seeing it this way? And, these are like totally selfish people, by the way. So it's like, in turn, you have to become selfish because of how they infect people on a mental scale, right? Because who really like is focused on getting people to team up against one person to, form all these unions and stuff to get all these people to go against one person because they simply don't like them. Like, you don't have to do anything to a narcissist. As, we have all experienced at some point in our life. It's like there's people who just flat out don't like us, it's just like, and instead of moving on, they rather try, and because you don't care that they don't like you, instead of them moving on, they go all across the nation, all out of their way to to try to destroy your life, basically. Like, it could be something like, oh, they wanted that promotion, so it's like they had to get rid of you, right? They had to, should have put my hoodie on. Oh well. They had to eradicate you and anybody like you, or that type of stuff, right? And, they want to see you spiral, and they want to make it public. They want you to do it in public. That's why their their attacks are so public. Even when they do them in private, it's just like the little nuances of what they do. Like, they'll say things in front of a crowd of people that they know pertain to you, and pretend like they're not focused on you. It's those little BS games and stuff that it's just like, okay, well, instead of, like, they're cowards. They can't be direct or face to face. They'll hide they'll hide in plain sight or in a crowd or whatever behind, and it's always behind other people. It's always behind someone else. And, there we are, we stand alone, on our own too, ready to, toe to toe, and that's another thing when we get ready to just go, get ready to square up with them, like verbally or whatever, spiritually, mentally, and they find out that they're totally outclassed especially without their numbers, the people that they recruit to join them in a bunch of fuckery, a bunch of BS, a bunch of mentally declining activity, right? That's when they're really mad. Like, even with all these people against you, even with me constantly like fucking with you, being that little gnat around you, even with me stalking you, bullying you, trying to cyberbully you, hacking your devices, whatever it is that they do, and they're behind the scenes and then go try to put on a holier than thou facade, right? They are mad at you for winning in a competition that you didn't even know that you were in. First of all, you didn't even know, half these people even existed, and like, even if you did, you wouldn't have come to them with some bullshit like gossip, right? You would never have thought to even come to them to fight your battles for you or with you like that, not those kind of battles. And you didn't, like half the time. And even if you did, the narcissist sets it up so that you look crazy if you told anybody, until they, but it's been so widespread now. It's been done to so many people. It's just like, like, you have to see it now. You have to. It's like, you can't not see it. It can't be unseen. So, yeah. And these are not the people we want to, and then they only expose themselves as a snake when they do it. Cause it's like, they want to tell like deep, dark secrets, but like someone like me, I don't really have secrets. I just keep them like for other people and stuff like that. I don't really like telling secrets. I like that people, share their stories with me, their secrets with me, and they're open to telling me things, because I get a lot of information from people, and I get humbled a lot. Like, it could be worse. Like, hearing people's different stories, their struggles, and it's not a trauma bonding thing, because they always come on something positive, right? And it's just like, oh, well, when it's in that nature, it's not a trauma bond. It's like, oh, okay. It helps you understand a little bit more and have a little bit more empathy and compassion of where somebody else might come from. But if they're being downright cruel, evil, and just like willing to attack you because they woke up in a bad mood today, you had nothing to do with that. It's just they woke up in a bad mood today. And, nobody's attacking them behind the scenes. They just felt like being a shitty person. They were just looking for trouble that day. And, like, yeah, there you were. Like, I can't sympathize with that. I can barely even empathize. I can't process, like, what the fuck? It's kind of like the saying, somebody who's hustling will never understand somebody who's hating. It's like, there's an understanding, but it's like we all have the same 24 hours. And most of the time, these narcissists have more than the empathic people, and they're still mad and hating. Like, why are you hating on happiness? Like, why are you hating on somebody being happy and at peace? Why is that an issue for you? Like, somebody who's done nothing wrong to you, or really anybody who does nothing really but try to help people, and you're mad about it. It's like really, what is the point? Truly, like, what are you doing? It's just like, kind of like, you could just like go the other way. You cannot look at the person. You cannot speak to the person. You cannot absolutely have nothing to do with the person, right? And you can make it known that you don't want anything to do with the person, and they try to still, they'll try to pretend like they don't get it. Like, why doesn't she? Like, yeah, you know why. Because if somebody did it to them, they would absolutely lose their shit. Like, they would lose their minds. But I'm want to leave it there, I think. Hold on. For now, I think I will. Shit. I guess I'll leave with a song. Everybody plays the fool sometimes. There's no exception to the rule. Listen, baby, it may be factual, may be cruel. I ain't lying. Everybody plays a fool. The duplicity of that, man. Yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. And there's cycles closing everywhere. Have you guys seen the moon in the past couple days? The moon and the sun, and you know, just being able to simultaneously sun gaze and moon gaze is great. It's really great. And yeah, I suggest, yeah, I recommend that people get out and do that tonight. Just, well, yeah, moon gaze for sure. Sun's already gone. I think I need to go outside and check. But yeah, these days have been, you know, they've been pretty good. You know, I've definitely felt the last of some magic being thrown at me. Just, you know, gone. Just suddenly, it's just like all of a sudden there was just a shift. Like late last night, it was pretty cool. But yeah, love you guys. Take care. Drink water. Mind your business. Love yourself and each other. And until next video,